Welcome to the Voices of the Goddess podcast. We believe that there is a goddess inside each and every one of us. When we use our voice to share that goddess, we support and uplift each other. Join us each week as we interview women to receive the message of their goddess within. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to be the goddesses they were meant to be. I'm your co-host, Julietta, also known as the Magical PT. I am coming to you from sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Although it doesn't matter how long I live here, I'm still a Midwestern girl. I grew up in Wisconsin, went to PT school at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, so I'm a Badger, and I don't understand all these Florida. I've been here, I don't know how many years, since 94, and I still don't know, I do know the Miami Hurricanes, but all the other ones, I don't know who are the Gators, who are the Seminoles, none of that. It's all confusing to me.
I agree. After 28 years, I cannot keep it straight.
Anyway, I don't even know why that was coming up, but I think because you guys were talking about college before we started the shows, and where everybody's going and coming from. And so in addition to supporting people on their healing journeys, I also have my creative side. I make malas and crystal pendants, and I paint. And besides all that, I'm a podcaster too. So a lot going on in this world. And my lovely co-host here, Allison, who's on the opposite side of me right now, which always kind of confuses me.
I know, usually we're flipped. It's because I joined before you did for once. So I'm on this side. Oh, yep. Someone's going to join in. All right. Good morning. I'm Allison Mancini. It's wonderful to be here. I am also here in South Florida. I've been here for 28 years. I don't know. It's been a really long time, almost 30 years. But I'm also a Midwest girl at heart. Grew up in Michigan. Actually excited. We're finally going back up there Labor Day weekend for a wedding. I can't wait. Hopefully it's cool weather. And I'm a mom to two amazing young adults, a 25-year-old son and a 22-year-old daughter, and a wife to my husband for 28 years. And I am a co-host of this podcast. I'm also operations and human resources director for a company called The Goal Digger Girl. We are a company that helps support women either show up authentically on social media for their business or support women in building their businesses from the ground up. And my job is amazing because I get to use all my tools of functional nutrition and my love for wellness and health and help support our staff there and all of our students. So it really is something I love to do, which is awesome because it only took me till I was 51 to find what I really love to do, but it's all good. It's perfect timing. It is perfect timing. I'm also a dog mom. I have two dogs that they're running around right now, a little crazy. So I apologize if you hear them. And that's it. But we have a new sponsor.
We do.
So our sponsor this month of June is High Vibrations Energy Healing. The owner is Rebecca Schaefer. She is a Reiki master and Kundalini yoga teacher. She actually was a guest on our podcast just last week. So if you want to check her out, more about her, go on our podcast platforms, Apple, iTunes, or Spotify or Google Podcasts, and you will see her interview. But High Vibrations Energy Healing offers Reiki, meditation, and Kundalini yoga to heal emotional and physical pain and bring one into alignment with their true self. Reiki and Kundalini yoga are a powerful combination that can be used to heal subconscious patterns, strengthen the nervous system, activate the neutral mind, and bring one to higher levels of consciousness. Visit highvibrationsnow.com to learn more. You can book a Reiki session, participate in a cosmic Kundalini and Reiki healing circle, or register for an upcoming Kundalini yoga class. And Julietta, you said you just did one of the Reiki healing circles.
I did participate in one of her circles, and it was amazing. I'm super jealous. She has one of these giant gongs. I wanted a gong for so long, but they're expensive. So it's on my wish list. But she's very gifted, very talented. I shared in the last episode when she came and was doing Reiki over my ears, I literally heard music coming from her hands. And I've been with a lot of energy healers in the past, and this is the first time I've heard music coming from, like literal music coming from her
cool.
hands. It was, I hear frequencies and I've experienced all that before, but that was a new one for me. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Reiki is pretty amazing. We were talking about that. First time I ever experienced it, Lexi was very little. She was an extremely overactive child and had a lot of learning disabilities and, developmental disabilities. And I had a neighbor that did Reiki, was a Reiki master, and she would work on her. And it was I told Julietta in our previous interview, it was the one time I can remember when Lexi was little that I would actually see her sit still for longer than a minute or two. Like she would sit with the woman's name was Day. She would sit with Day for like 15, 20 minutes and just sit there, and she would just do the Reiki with her. It was pretty mind blowing at the time. So yeah, pretty cool.
Energy is I always, people ask me, do you work with energy? And I'm like, anybody who's doing any kind of healing, everybody's doing energy work. It's just, are you aware that you're doing energy work or not?
Right.
And having the awareness and being able to direct it and use it in a positive way is the difference. But anybody who's doing any kind of, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, even both my mom and my grandmother were hairdressers. They were doing energy work on their clients,
Listen, the bottom line is it's all energy. We're all made up of these little bundles of, energy. I know, it blows my mind. Yeah.
Exactly.
So speaking of positive, we were talking before we got live here about, I think it was because one of the posts that I have in our Facebook group, Circle of Goddesses, was about, believing in yourself and that positive mindset. And really, I read an article once that said in research that the amount of negative self-talk we give to ourselves is like 85% of what, or 90% of what we say every day in our minds is negative. Like it's really, really high. And so the thing is that we all know, and it's interesting because our previous guest, she talked about the book, Think and Grow Rich. And so, it's all about that mindset and how you're talking to yourself. And the thing is I remember when I was in my 20s and someone gave me Think and Grow Rich and I read it and I was like, meh, this is whatever, some frou-frou, whatever. I don't even know. But the truth of the matter is that like all the science and research has caught up to all of that at this point. And they do know that when you're constantly speaking negative words to yourself, that is what you're putting out there. That is what you're drawing into. That's what you're attracting. So you have to spend that time consciously trying to work around that. I mean, I catch myself many times a day going, oh, you're never going to do this well, or you suck at that, or you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, stop. You're awesome. You can handle this.
The worst part is that you catch yourself speaking negatively and then you talk negatively about yourself for talking negatively about yourself. It's a vicious cycle, but change your thoughts, change your life.
Yeah, it's true.
And, it's a muscle, it's like a muscle, like you work it and work on changing your thoughts and catching yourself and spend time actively doing positive self-talk. So
one of the things that I do, and this, is I journal every day. And in my journal, I do a few different things. But one of the things I do is I write, you can call them whatever you want, affirmations, visualization, whatever you want to call it. That's what I write. But they're always in the positive, like happening now, form. And it's amazing to me, fast forward, because I've been journaling for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. The number of things that I have written in that journal, and I didn't just write them once either. They were things that I wrote over and over and over and over, have literally come true. Like things I never would have thought, and it has been that positive self-talk. Like that's where I get that's where I start my day. And I make sure that I'm, being positive, because let's be real. There's many days I wake up and I'm like, I just really want to go back to bed. Like, I don't want to do this today. Right. But today was one of those days. So,
but here we are, we're having fun.
We are having fun. All right. Should we bring our guest on?
Let's bring Margot on.
I love her. Hi, Margot. How are you?
Hi, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to your beautiful podcast show.
Oh, we love you. We have missed seeing your beautiful face.
Thank you so much. I feel the same.
Well, so let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so my name is Margaret Scott. I go by Margot. First of all, I am a mother to 3 amazing goddesses in their own right. Catherine is 23 and my twins are 21. I can't believe it. Allison, where did the time go, right? So I have these 3 beautiful girls. I graduated with an associate's degree in nursing, and I worked as an RN for several years before then moving into running and setting up my husband at the time's law practice. And then we had children, and I made a choice to be a stay-at-home mom for several years. As they grew into their teens, I was sort of going on this awakening, this transition. I had been a lay pastor for several years during their young times, and I turned to, because I've always loved healing, it's always been my thing. I turned to wanting to learn about energy healing, which I loved your intro and what you talked about today. It fits in perfectly with what I do. I started by getting my Reiki attunement, and then I moved into studying heart-centered modalities, channeling heart-centered energy I went to the Crystallis Institute, and I got certified in Primus healing activation technique, and then moved forward into becoming a crystal resonance therapist. That's doing energy work, utilizing the elements, crystals, channeling heart-centered and elemental energy, and the sessions are governed by the client's soul, connected soul to soul, all intuitively guided. When I got my certification, I just decided, I had been doing readings for myself for years, and I thought, I really want to be able to expand my practice to include readings. So I studied at the Crystallis Institute and became an intuitive reader using the Crystal Ally card deck. And from there, I get called into the most unique modalities, but I got called into studying and being attuned to unicorn energy, which is a very, that channeling frequency is soul level healing, soul level awakening. So from there, I kind of branched out into opening my own little practice. And I'm based in Pompano Beach, Florida, but I would say over 90% of my client base is remote. I work with people doing energy healing sessions, which I call soul sessions, since the soul of the client guides the session. I offer readings, intuitive readings. They always start with a soul path reading when it's a first-time client, because I offer them a chance to really see themselves when we're connected in this sacred space, to see their gifts they've come in to share with their world, to awaken to them. They have mastery over, all of us have mastery over these amazing gifts that we've come to share, and also awaken to the lessons that we've chosen to come in as a co-creator to learn in this lifetime. So it's a once in a lifetime reading followed by a few other layouts. So I offer readings, and I also have developed a couple of classes. I formed a class on the elements, the elemental forces, understanding how they are within us as well, how they communicate with us in our body as well as through the outside world. So you can learn to understand how to balance them, what elemental aspect of your life might need more balance, what are your elemental strengths, what are more of your elemental challenges, so you can live in an empowered, dynamically balanced, accountable way. That's one of the biggest things I like to impart on people, lifting them up to their empowerment and accountability so that they can continue to evolve and grow and be a co-creator. While I was, working and doing these different modalities with people, I organically started doing animal healing and animal services as well. They started coming to me with messages. It started with a few pets that had transitioned that wanted their earth family to have some messages, usually when the family was in such grief and turmoil. So I just passed those along. They were very well received. And I started quietly working with animals on my own, just holding space for different hurting animals, for animals that are endangered, for animals. And then I started just doing little healing sessions, and it grew from there. So I offer also animal healing sessions. I have also helped people whose pets have become lost or gotten out and run away with great success. And I also do offer the service of connecting with your departed transition pet for closure, it's often more for the owners, the people left behind, their grief, it helps them. So I offer that as well as the different services that I offer for people.
Well, my
I use a lot of crystals.
Margot, I'm going to tell you, all the animals in the house have come around to hang out.
Yay! Yeah, but the animal healing and children as well, and you know this, Julietta, you work with a lot of children. I have learned so much through them because they run literally on frequency and energy. So they're so receptive to it, and they often heal quicker. They come into balance quicker. They receive it so well, they don't question it like adults do, after, well, what did that mean? And what is this? And is this really work? And how can this energy really shift me? So when you're channeling energy in a soul and you're working with them, you are helping to balance out not only just the chakra system, but the whole energetic body. And it can have the ripple effect of mind, body, spirit balance. It can calm, it can soothe, it can help areas that are too stimulated. It can help areas that are deficient. I use a lot of crystals and sound and frequency in my sessions. They're all intuitively called from the soul of the animal or the human I'm working with.
That's
so
awesome.
It's not me going, oh, they need rose quartz because they're heartbroken. I don't even look at the stones I'm pulling. And
that's amazing. I love that. That's awesome.
So then after we get a big story, the stones tell a story.
We need to dive into our questions, Margot, or we're never going to
run out of time.
We're going to have to jump into our questions.
No problem.
But do you know, at the end, we'll make sure everybody has ways to contact you so they can get all the information from you. So our first question for you is, what is one book that you believe every goddess should read, and why, and how has it really supported you and benefited you?
So for me, I would say it is When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chödrön. I read it. I feel the reason that I want to recommend that book is because it offers such heart supportive advice during very troubled and hard times. Things that seem so simple, but for us, they feel so hard, like getting still, finding joy in everything, understanding the bigger picture of what's going on, and the reason I recommend it is because it was recommended to me at the beginning of this journey when I was falling apart, literally from doing self-healing myself first and the elemental healing, as well as I knew my marriage was ending. Everything in my life was shifting. I was in a big storm. So the title itself really fit me, and it really helped me to learn to integrate what I was learning so that I could apply it to my life. It helped me to understand the bigger picture of what we perceive as trouble and storm and things falling apart, that they're for you, that, if you're working to evolve and grow and you're working on patience and you are having the universe showing you all kinds of things to test your patience, it's to get better.
I always say that just changing the words. This isn't happening to me. This is happening for me. And those difficult times so often are there for our growth and for us to, to really push us on our life path and to become the greatest version of ourselves that we can.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love that. All right. Our next question for you is, what is your top oh my gosh, I can't even speak right now. What is your top self-care practice and how does it support you?
My top self-care practice is meditation. It has changed everything for me. I have been doing it consistently for 8 years straight. If you talking about your journaling and how you look back and you see all these things that have come to fruition, and I'm sure you see the evolution and growth of yourself. Same thing for me with meditation. That mindset of becoming mindful and still to hear my inner voice, my soul, my higher self, and guide and allow myself to be guided from there than outside noise has shifted everything. And I will say that age is not a number, it's an energy, it's a frequency. So if you're doing a practice, a self-care practice like meditation, breathwork, yoga, whatever it is, it really helps you feel younger and, just feel timeless. I've really noticed, and I've seen it because I meditate daily, and I've noticed the change in even how I'm perceived in the outside world. People smile more. People just are gentler around you when you're holding that amplitude and frequency. So that's my number one.
Yeah. And I love how much meditation has just come into, normal. It used to be, something that just Buddhas did, or
yes.
And to see the number of people these days that are using meditation, it's wonderful.
And I would say there's no right or wrong way to meditate.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, there's so many ways to do it, and if you try one way and it doesn't work for you, try another way, because there's definitely a way
Absolutely.
that will work for you. So awesome. All right, our next question, Margot, is, because we all have days where it's just really difficult to show up, but we have to anyway. What tool do you use to help you rise up and get through your day?
One of the biggest tools I've been using is before I even get out of bed, when the alarm goes off, rather than, I have to obviously turn it off, but jumping up or grabbing the phone or doing those things or thinking about, oh my gosh, I got to do this, I just take a few breaths and I do gratitude work for myself. I'm grateful for my breath. I'm grateful for the beautiful day. I'm grateful for the birds that are singing outside. It could be anything. And I just take those few moments to do that. That is huge for me. And then throughout the day, because I have always been an over nurturer and over given, and my energy can run out, I take time for self-care, whether that's doing a little meditation or having a cup of tea. It can be anything, a nature walk, candle gazing, any of the things that make you feel like you're taking time for yourself. But the gratitude, that starting out the morning with that shifts the whole day.
Gratitude will change your life for sure.
Well, nice. Simple things that we make so difficult for some reason.
So our fourth question for you is, and yes, everything that happens to us in our lives shapes who we are, but there's always those standout things. What is one event in your life that has played a big role in forming who you are today?
So it is the diagnosis of my twins' autism, I would have to say, because as horrible as it was at the time, and the floundering of that first year and feeling totally unsupported and not finding any answers, it was the catalyst that brought me to where I am today. I had to go into their world. So looking back, I'm not going to go on and on about those years, but looking back, I realized that they gave me the greatest tools I have in my toolbox to be the person I am supporting people today, facilitating people, doing my work. They are amazing. They modeled and mirrored to me what energy is and how to, move through life in that way, to be yourself, to appreciate the uniqueness of you. And it really heightened my intuitive and psychic channels, because I had to figure out what was going on with them not talking. So that was life-changing. What started out as a living nightmare was a huge blessing, and I could go on a different show about it. It was just so much. So that for sure.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me, in my 30 plus career as a PT and having worked with so many children with special needs, some of the parents like you just take that as the opportunity to grow beyond measure. And for others, it just is the complete collapse of their life. And I'm always like, what is the difference between this parent that can find the gift in it and just use it to catapult? It's like, I look at your girls and you and what you've done with all of this, and it's just beautiful. And, I wish
for me, the difference is surrender. You have to surrender to it. And I had no real support in the medical world at the time. It was a long time ago. And I turned to holistic ways. And that is what took us on this path. And it's the greatest gift I could have given them. So surrendering to it rather than fighting it, and looking at the blessing. And it's very difficult at the beginning, right, Allison? I'm sure you have a story too. It's very challenging at the beginning, but once you can look at that bigger picture, it changes everything.
Yeah. So if there was one message that you would like our audience to take away from today's show, Margot, what would that be?
Just even starting with listening to you two at the beginning with mindset, I would say, love yourself. You are the most important person in your life, and self-love is the most important love you can ever receive. You deserve it. I would say that more than anything. And, empowerment is where it's at, right? Being a co-creator, accountable for your actions and your creations, gives you so much power to shift and change anything you want. Surrender to the moment and just live with joy and gratitude. Joy and gratitude to me is kind of the yin and yang of everything flowing with grace and ease. And that doesn't mean you don't have hard times at all. It means that you can allow yourself to flow through them.
Beautiful. Yeah. I always say self-love. If everybody could learn to love themselves, every problem that we have in the world would disappear.
Absolutely. Hands down, for sure. Yes, I agree.
Well, it has been wonderful having you on the show, Margot. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
Also want to send a big thank you out to our sponsor, High Vibrations Now. We appreciate your sponsorship so much for helping us make the show happen. And thank you also to our listeners. If you've enjoyed our show today, please subscribe, follow, like, share, comment, wherever you're finding us, whether it's YouTube, iTunes. There's plenty of YouTube for opportunities to subscribe. Comments help us so much. We'd love to hear what you hear about this show. And with that, I want to wish I forgot to say too, if you need to get a hold of Margot, Allison, or myself, check the show notes. All of our contact information is there. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I would like to wish everybody a magical day.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.